Hey, what's up? It's Roller Coaster Rider, and it's been a while, but videos and personal stuff came up, so here is my top five. Remember last time when I said I was going to do a top five about a park that has been struggling but has a much better safety history? Well, I'm going to do that today. SeaWorld San Diego in California. I went to this park last year, so I don't know anything about the new rides that they added apart from what type that they are and their submarine themed dark ride. This park was pretty tough for a number of reasons. One, they don't have a lot of land, although that's probably not true. And two, they have a short height limit. And as far as I'm aware of, I think they can build rides as tall as 30 feet before needing to get approval in most of the park. That's why Manta is 30 feet. That's why it took them years to get Journey to Atlantis approved, and with Electric Eel, I don't know, I guess they had to paint it or something. So, keep this in mind. Everything that I'm going to suggest is within that 30-foot height limit. If they wanted to go a little bit higher, some of these could go as high as 40 or 50 feet. But keep in mind, tunnels, trenches, and low-to-the-ground maneuvers are going to have to be built with all of these attractions. I hope you're ready. Let's dive into a park I went to in 2016 and thought Manta and Journey to Atlantis were pretty good mock rides. And I loved the pet show. But I love all pet shows. And I loved the Clyde and Seymour Sea Lion show, I believe that's what it's called. So, take a dip. Number 5. Another water ride. They do have Shipwreck Rapids, which was very popular when I went, and is a pretty good themed river rapids ride. However, with them possibly now, PETA people, be quiet. Animal rights activists, be quiet. SeaWorld people, be quiet. Anti-SeaWorld people, everyone be quiet. Since they're getting rid of their orca tanks and probably are sending those orcas to other parks, or maybe just releasing them back into releasing them back into the wild, or maybe even sending them to another zoo or habitat or whatever, or rehab place. That tank takes up a large amount of space, so they could replace it with a new water ride. What is my suggestion for their new water ride? One of two things. Either a typical teacup ride, teacups with water, or a splash battle, which is low to the ground where you get to shoot at stuff. This is going to be very controversial and very inappropriate, but what the heck? It's my podcast, or it's my show, I can do what I wish. I'm going to suggest that since Mach has something at Europa Park which is called Whale Adventures Northern Lights, why not have this ride be killer whale themed? The theme is that you're going around, or I have no idea. Actually, I have no idea what the theme could be, but maybe you're whale watching and a killer whale splashes you, so you have to splash back with squirt guns and then it splashes you back. Something like that, because let's face it, it's Southern California, it's San Diego, it gets hot there. They have 2 water rides, but I think a third could be the perfect fit. Number 4. Before Steel Eel was announced, this was actually what I was going to suggest. Not a Premier Rides Skyrocket 2 Tempesto model, but I was going to suggest a B&M launched wing coaster. I know what you're saying, wing coasters are very tall, but here's the thing. If you put it at like 10 or 20 feet, and you have it go as high as, say, 30 feet, or maybe even 40 or 50 feet, you can make a really intense launched looping coaster, which is something the park doesn't have, and something the state of Southern California technically doesn't have either. The ride could easily go into into tunnels and trenches and stuff below pathways, which would give the ride a really unique theme. Plus, if they want to be even really cool, they could have the ride have a corkscrew or have an inversion above a walkway. That ought to get some interest. How about this? The entrance, which has been updated recently, why not put a zero-G roll above that? And if they're wondering about the sound, or if they're wondering about noise like that, well then it's simple. B&M can fill their tracks up with sand, and as a result create a very quiet ride. So by creating a launch, you don't need to go very tall. You can have several inversions, and you can have a ride that is unlike anything in the Southern California region. I know X2 and Green Lantern are technically wing coasters, but this one is a little more unique, a little more original, a little more different, and I think it'll be okay. Number 3. This one works with a recent announcement where SeaWorld and Sesame were going to strengthen their collaboration together. And so what I'm suggesting is a Sesame Street themed interactive dark ride. Universal Studios Singapore, I apologize, has an attraction called Sesame Street Spaghetti Chase. No idea what that is like, but I'm sure they could add some interactive technology, and the ride could be themed. The ride could be themed to that, or the ride could be themed to Elmo, or the ride could be themed to Grover, or something like that. You know what? How about this? How about if you're Grover's Commanders, and the ride is essentially like Buzz Lightyear, except it has Sesame Street theming instead of Buzz Lightyear theming. You can be launched into the galaxy, you can be surrounded by chickens, and you could try to hit as many meteors as possible. I truly believe that the idea of a Sesame Street themed interactive dark ride offers over 101 possibilities. Maybe even have a scene with Bert and Ernie, shooting. You could shoot at rubber duckies or something. You could have a scene at the end where Statler and Waldorf are just telling goofy jokes. You could have Big Bird and Snuffleupagus. You could have Mr. Hooper at the store. You could have a bunch of things. And so, yeah, you could maybe even have Kermit in there too. You need to go with an IP that people like, and that is child approved. Shamu is not your strong brand anymore. And listen, I hate to be negative, but I don't think it's been a strong brand for a while, even before Blackfish. You watch some of the early SeaWorld commercials from the early 2000s or so. What do they show? They show Orca. Yeah, they show the killer. Yeah, they show Shamu. But you know what they also show? Rides. You know what they also show? Roller coasters. What do they also show? Family. Shamu was the extra thing. It was the thing to get you into the park, but it wasn't the thing you left really remembering about the park. Sesame Street is a current IP that is very strong, I believe, and is very popular with children. You need to get kids back into the park, and because if you bring kids, you're going to bring their money-filled parents. For a company that needs some money, I think this is a smart idea. Number 2, this one is simple. All-season dining pass. You've got a core of season pass holders, let's say probably 100, 200,000 maybe. You're already getting them for about $100 a year. Why not try to offer them a little extra more? Why not have them spend time in your park, riding your rides, and being shown advertisers? Don't you think that by offering an all-season dining pass, which is something that Belmont Park doesn't offer, which is something Pacific Park doesn't offer, which is something Legoland doesn't offer. I don't think the San Diego Zoo offers that. The closest park that would offer that would either be what, Knott's or Magic Mountain? If you live in San Diego, you're not going to drive 2+ hours just to get a free burger or some free chicken tenders. However, you want to increase attendance? I truly believe that an all-season dining pass, and the company has done this at Adventure Island and Busch Gardens Tampa, and SeaWorld Orlando. No idea how successful they are. However, if you want to get more people to return to the park, I'm sorry, but this is something that has to be done. You need to get some good mojo back, and an all-season dining pass option is one way to do that. And I also recommend also doing it for Aquatica as well, because hey, you're getting a bunch of people there too. Why not offer double? Chew on that. Sorry for the lame pun. And finally, the thing that is probably my most absurdist one, but for some reason I can see this working. RMC. Wait a minute. Building an RMC wooden coaster? Building a wooden coaster? Why? Are you suggesting that? No, I'm not. They don't have a wooden coaster to convert. Are you going to say convert Manta or Journey to Atlantis? No. Well, then what are you suggesting? RMC Raptor or T-Rex track? Manta is a good family coaster, and Journey to Atlantis is a good family coaster. Electric Eel is I haven't been on them, but I'm assuming a good looping, launched, somewhat hang time coaster. Seems like something that's missing is a airtime out of your seat mega coaster. Something kind of like Mako, but I know. Remember when I said that they can't build that tall, and all of these attractions were going to be under 50 feet? Well, who says you need to go 200 feet to offer good airtime? I believe if you make the ride 50 feet and you have a ton of choppy, Alan Schilke classic extreme airtime maneuvers, tight tight turns, overbank turns, high-fiving the ground turns, as well as a bunch of twisties, and maybe even a zero G stall, as well as a bunch of choppy hills and a helix, you are going to build probably a really good extreme coaster. You're going to build probably something that you can't get at your local competitors. You can't get an airtime coaster at Belmont, I'm sorry. You can't get an airtime coaster at Pacific Park. You can't get an airtime coaster at the San Diego Zoo. You can't get it at Legoland. You can't get an airtime extreme coaster. And no offense to those, but mainly with Legoland, I don't think that's what they want to do. I don't think they want to build a major airtime extreme coaster because that's not their audience. Understandable. SeaWorld San Diego, I feel rides should be their demographic now. You want rides in Southern California, you go there. And I'm talking Southern California, not the Los Angeles area, but the San Diego area. I truly believe the San Diego market is strong enough for SeaWorld San Diego to become a ride park. Not just rides, but a stronger emphasis and more rides. What do you have to lose at this point? And this is my wild card, but since you can only go up to 50 feet, I'm not necessarily suggesting a lift hill, but maybe a launch. I know Lightning Rod has had its fair share of problems, but what about if Rocky Mountain tried to launch on a steel coaster? With steel supports, with steel rails, everything steel. There's 100 steel launching coasters out there. I'm sure Rocky Mountain would have no problem with it. Well, those are my top 5. I do know a bit about this park. I have visited this park, but I have to be honest, I was only at this park for about 3 hours because I was doing Belmont and Legoland, and I was eating at Divine Possibilities, which you might have seen on uh Mystery Diners. It's the one where they have the uh roll torpedo or something, torpasta. Yeah, that's what it. Anyway, so was there any that I missed? Was there any that you think I should have included? Was there any that you're thinking you're a brain dead moron? Uh, why don't you comment below? Why don't you like this video? Why don't you subscribe, and why don't you repost this to a bunch of people on a bunch of sites? Um, Aquatica, maybe that could use an expansion, but I have no idea what you would would expand it. I haven't been to that park, so if anyone has, again, like, comment, subscribe, and check and post below. Man, this top 5. These top 5s, I've got to be honest, are getting a little tough. I want some perennial fun. Don't you think I should have some fun? Is the hint obvious enough for you? See ya!